Hey, good morning, Drew. How you doing?
Man, good morning to you. How are you?
I just had a nice walk with my oldest son Sunday morning. A little cool out, like 39 degrees. So we had to put a little hat and
Yeah,
jacket on. Hey,
yeah.
sorry to wake you up so early. I know that Army training's a little rough for you, but I think you can forge the discipline to make it 7 in these morning calls.
Here, no, listen to me. This is the irony. You sent me a book about the importance of sleep
Yeah,
and how
yeah.
all my mental disabilities in life are a result of not sleeping well. And here I am, this poor prisoner that can't sleep well. And then you schedule a video session like at the butt crack of dawn.
Hey, they, but have you
Yeah,
noticed that our connectivity is like crystal clear
yeah,
and
yeah,
which is pretty awesome. And
yeah.
I'm pretty happy about that because that was sort of painful when we'd have stuff broken. That's the benefits of doing it before anybody wakes up. So
Yeah.
uh,
Well, one thing I'll tell you this: one of the better times in prison, if there can be, is early in the morning.
yeah,
Okay, all throughout the week, I get up really early in the morning. It's just me and my lamp, a cup of coffee, a book, my journal,
yep.
and it's the quietest time in prison when everybody's sleeping.
Hey,
But
so
when
what
everybody
what
wakes up, then
what
it's
time
like
is that?
news alive,
What time is that?
huh?
What time is that? When do you
Then I
know?
wake
What time do you wake up
five
on?
thirty
What?
between 5:36.
Okay. Well, hey, if when you
Yeah,
finish that book of Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, it says
yeah,
consistency. 7 days a week is the key to good sleep. So you
yeah,
shouldn't
yeah.
be sleeping in on the weekends. I'm just trying to help you. In the bigger picture, I'm helping you out.
All right, all right, all right.
Hey,
Well, I'm
so
excited about today. What is it? It is October 17th, and we're kind of wrapping up this whole thing we've been talking about for several weeks now, which is our SHEARS mental model. And, we have been talking to people listening about, the inner triangle of life, which is skills, habits, and energy. And, even joking about the sleep thing, that is about energy because we know the energy that you can kind of build up in your life is what you can bring to life. You can't bring anything to life that's not first inside of you. And then we talked about the outer triangle of life, which is attitude. And your attitude that you have and maintain in life draws relationships into your life. And those relationships set the ceiling for the service that we bring into this world. So today we're going to talk about service outside of it kind of completes the SHEARS mental model, but it's really not the end of things because even after that, you and I spoke briefly yesterday that there's something beyond that, lives beyond that, that gives it a higher meaning.
yeah, um, yeah, I think it's pretty awesome. And it's like it's funny because like a year ago, this whole Shears acronym just
Yeah,
came into our heads, and
yeah,
uh, and then we've been iterating on it, and it's pretty cool how it builds on itself, right? From skills all the way up to that higher service, which where you're doing something beyond yourself, for others, and it is like building blocks. It's like a pyramid, and now we're
yeah,
trying to work towards that apex, of, and I think at the top of that apex is being fulfilled because you can be fulfilled, by what you accomplish, but it's even more powerful if you get fulfilled if you enable others to meet their potential,
yeah,
um, so I think that's a key aspect. Another is, as in that journey, touching joy and having joy with others, and we'll talk about that I think later. And then love, that's the one of the key pieces of the
yeah,
foundation for relationships. So I again came up with sort of like three concepts slash words that I think represent service. And I don't know if you want to start with yours first, or if you want me to go ahead and go.
no,
But
no. Go ahead, go ahead.
okay,
I'm interested to hear what you got to say.
yeah. So first off, I would say that you need the shared purpose. Okay, so my experience in the military and why it was, I think, easy for me to work my butt off. And my wife calls me a workaholic, but it's because we had a shared purpose of our national security. And then also in the culture of the Army and the Special Forces, it was all about leader development for yourself and then for others. And so
Yeah.
those were aligned purposes, right? They're different, but they were complementary, because if you always focused on individual development, your unit and organizational development for that higher purpose, then that created a cohesiveness and a vision that then
Yeah.
let everybody work towards. And so we were serving a higher ideal, and then so that's number one, is that shared purpose, and it can be it
Yeah.
can be multifaceted, right? Okay, and so I felt that in the military, and now um, working for Honeywell at the plant, it has a national security mission as well. So that really it keeps me going, and so it makes it really easy to go to work in the morning, because I feel like I'm investing in our country and our nation, and our nation is pretty special. Crazy times right now, with all the politics, everything's getting politicized, but I hope we weather this storm successfully, and we're not a dying empire. But I still believe in the nation and what and opportunity it provides to our people. Um,
Mm.
okay, so that tees up
Okay.
then the second concept, which I would say is sacrifice. Now, sacrifice, a lot of times people can take that too far. You have the ultimate sacrifice of, Jesus Christ dying on the cross, a very, a martyr, a very torturous sacrifice, for humankind, as the uh, legacy says, right? But
Mm-hmm.
I think that is just an example of where you are giving something of yourself, whether it is time, whether it is resources, whether it is energy, but you're giving it to someone else. And a better word for that is maybe investment. And another word is maybe preparation, right? You're helping another person prepare for their future and their future success. But I like the word sacrifice because it needs to cost something. You got to feel it,
Yeah.
and it's your willingness to not only to
I like
sacrifice for others, right? So that's how you serve. And an interesting concept that they bat around in the military leadership training is, they call it service leadership. Um, and are you enabling others, the success of others towards a bigger mission? So sacrifice, I think, is really key. And then that can be misconstrued, because you think of like sacrificing animals, or being a martyr. No, think about it in a way of investing others, helping them prepare for their future success, especially when it's aligned to that higher purpose. And then the last point that I would highlight, and this is a buzzword that I think got way overused back in the day, of Stephen Covey and Seven Habits of Highly Successful People, but it's synergy. Where the
Synergy?
yeah, synergy. Okay, where the contributions of multiple people actually results in something bigger than the sum of the parts, right? So 1 + 1 = 3. When people work together in a collaborative manner, a complementary manner, they actually create something that's bigger than just themselves separately. So if you have all three of these things, where people have a shared purpose, where they are sacrificing and enabling each other's preparation or enhancement for the future, and then you have that synergy. It's like that magic sauce where sometimes you put a bunch of smart people in a room, and they try to collaborate, and the room is actually dumber than the average IQ of the people in there, because they're not complementing each other. But sometimes you put some smart people in a room, and the IQ actually goes up because of the way they work together. It's that really um, synchronized, like enhancing collaboration. And so, anyway, sorry I rambled for so long, but those are the three that I would say are key for service.
No, man, that was fantastic. I really like that. Shared vision, sacrifice, and synergy. So here's the three that I have. I'm gonna lay them out like this. My life is of greatest service or value when I, number one, recognize that it's not about me. For me personally, I feel like when I approach life, when I approach people, not from a standpoint that this is about me, this is about how I feel, this is how I'm impacted, but when I approach it that my life is not about me. Yes, it's my life, but my life will be of greatest service when I recognize that other people's needs supersede my own. And you tied in that, Christ dying on the cross, that I have to have a mindset similar to his, that there is a mission, there's a purpose, there's a goal that will outlive me. And if I take whatever amount of years that I have on earth and I make it 100% about me, when I'm gone, so is the mark that I leave. But if I live with the concept that my efforts will outlive me, and that my goal in life is to serve others, be that my wife, my family, my community, I believe that makes my life of greater service. And I'm going to talk about service a little bit because what I want to talk about is that it's also the effect. What is the effect of your life? What was the effect of my actions as a teenager 20 some odd years ago in the city of Seattle? That was my service. And that was my service as a result of a lot of different things. It was my service. It was my crime. It was my impact. As a result of a lot of things. As a result of my lack of skills, no habits, drug addiction, bad energy, attitude. I had bad relationships. That led to an impact. All of these things, this plus this plus this equals that.
Yeah.
Equals impact. Equals service. This is what I brought to the world. And I had a moment in county jail where I realized that I wanted my life to be remembered for something more than just the worst moment of my life. And I know that moment didn't just cost me, it cost everyone else around me. And I knew that I wanted my life to be of greater service. And I knew that the first thing that needed to change was my heart. My heart needed to change. And after that, I needed to change the way I thought. And if I could change the way I think, and I could change the essence of my being, then my life could be of a different impact, a different service. And so that's why I think it's very important at the end of this SHEARS, we're talking about service. Because at the end of it, what I want people to think about is this. What is going to be the result of my life? And I had to think about that at 20 years old because I thought my life was over. And my concept of law and justice was that take a life, you give your life. So at 20 years old, before I'd even really began to live as an adult, aware, right, thinking of others more than himself, I felt like my life was over. And by the grace of God, it wasn't. So for the last 22 years, it's been about getting to this point, this conversation that you and I are having right now. Okay, let me continue. My life is of greatest service when I recognize that every day is a gift to be enjoyed. If I look at every day I get up, and even though being in prison, if I look at every day I get up, I'm just doing what I got to do my time. That's all I'm doing. I'm just doing my time. I'm not really going to amount to much. I got to get up and approach every single day and say, it is a gift from God that I'm alive today. I get to interact with people. I get to solve problems. I get to help other people solve their problems. If I can get up with that type of perspective, I'm going to make a difference in life. And if those people listening right now can look at their life and not just see the sum total of responsibilities that are weighing on them, but see the sum total of opportunities. See, I only can go so many different places today. I can go to the gym.
Yeah.
I can go to the yard. I can go to the cell. That's it. But, so learning to maximize my life is of greatest service when I recognize that every day is a gift to be enjoyed. So everything that I encounter is a gift, and I get to enjoy it. Okay, last one. My life is of greatest service when I see the need and meet the need. If I constantly live that I want to be a problem solver, I had a boss years ago when I was in manufacturing. He said, Drew, there's two types of people in this world. There's problem finders and problem solvers. And nobody likes the former, and everybody wants the latter. I believe that the goal of this is to live life like a problem solver. The world has enough problem finders. You turn on the news, you go to any of these channels, you mentioned about society being heavily politicized. There's a lot of people that are just problem finders. But what the world needs is more problem solvers. Okay, so that's my three. Got it?
Yeah. No, that's pretty good. Yeah, I like the problem solver versus problem finder. I think that goes back to attitude mindset. There's some
Yeah,
synergy there. Are you a reactor to the environment, or are you a creator? In the
yeah,
environment, and it's going to be fascinating to go back to all these little trinities that we've built over the last couple
yeah,
months, and figure out where we have overlap and synergy,
yeah,
and take it to the next level. I think if we start writing about this might even take it up a notch. But I really liked what you said. Number two. So that was number three. See the need and meet the need, and how do you look at that environment? Do you maximize it? Do you take it as an opportunity? Uh, do you look at things as opportunities, not look at things as
yeah,
negatives or criticisms or what, or
yeah,
do you have a victim mindset, right, where you're always
yeah,
offended by people, or do you just
yeah,
take that as try to
yeah,
positively you do jujitsu on the environment and how people are treating you, and flip it around and make it something good,
yeah,
yeah. So every day is a
yeah,
gift. I think that's awesome too.
yeah,
I can't remember the books that we've read, but the importance of gratitude,
yeah,
and the humbleness,
yeah,
and
gratitude. Yeah,
that almost, I think, represents what you were highlighting as number two. Where you said every day is a gift, and I need to look at it that way. And then, yeah, I'm struggling for a word on for your number one. Yeah, it's all about others, right? It's almost like an outward focus versus an inward focus, and that's
there was this great quote. Excuse me. Um, there's this great quote that I think I read in Eric Greitens' book, Resilience. It says, "We are not who we say we are. We are not who we want to be. We are the sum total of impact that we have on others in our lifetime."
yeah,
You know, and a lot of people, well, me, you know, the idea of myself is not myself. How I live and impact others around me is myself. That's who I am.
yeah. Yeah, and so and what if you focus on that, right? If that is going to
Yeah,
be your attitude, if that is going to be your ideal, and
yeah,
if that's what you're going to value, and then you try to forge virtuous living according to that, being that positive catalyst of service, in the world. And so then you can line up, what you want to be, what you're trying to do on a daily basis, and if you get that alignment, then I think that's when you're truly gonna get into that space. I liked
yeah,
our, you and I have brainstormed this idea of, okay, what do we bring into the world? So we came up with dynamic assent, right? In our
yeah,
how
yeah,
we
yeah,
phrase that. I got it here in my
yeah,
journal. We said that, hey, dynamic assent, maybe that'll be our future company. Liberating others, and I have in parentheses, family, friends, and colleagues, to new heights of fulfillment, joy, and love, right? And we call it liberating because I think that the environment can be negative and can beat people down, and sometimes people
yeah,
are not mentally thinking about their life and their opportunities in the right way, right? So we want to free their thinking, maybe free their approach in life, so they can achieve higher levels of satisfaction, and
yeah.
purpose and service and all that stuff.
Another point here is, being a lifelong learner is key to elevating your service in life. what I mean by that is I was reading that book that you sent me last night called The Fifth Discipline, and he was talking about organizational leadership, teamwork, and he said that learning offers us an opportunity to reinvent ourselves.
Yep.
You know, when I learn something, I add to my toolbox, and when I add to my toolbox, I'm adding to my ability to be of greater service or impact wherever I go. And it's no different than, right now I'm reading a book called Love and Respect, and it's just giving me more tools for my ability to communicate and affect love to the person that I do love, and be able to receive back from them. So, but if I'm not pouring into this toolbox, if I'm not adding into this toolbox, then I'm limiting my ability to be of impact wherever I go. And so I think a key thing in life of being of service is constantly being a learner.
Yeah.
Well, and unfortunately, we get to a place where we stop learning. We stop trying to add to ourselves, and then we find that plateau that you and I talked about years ago.
Yeah. The I like the inverted U, where, you get challenged, you're on that learning curve, and then you start plateauing. And the question is, are you going to look for that next learning curve and go up that next front end of the, inverted U?
Yeah.
Or are you going to let yourself plateau, and then over time you're going to start decaying and degrading, So life needs to be, a series of the front end of the inverted U's through time. And, I'm 50 years old this year. And so, I don't feel like I'm going through a midlife crisis, and I'm trying to, you know, have an identity of a lifelong learner. But I think we're doing that. I think we're forging learning and collaboration here. The fifth discipline is all about, team learning and building mental models or mental frameworks, of what we think and believe. And I think we're doing that with the SHEARS, and I think that's pretty powerful. The other thing is that, did I ever share with you the book called Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck? So
I think you mentioned it once or twice.
All right, so I need to send that one to you because she did a lot of scientific research on whether people have a growth mindset, which is a learning mindset, like life is never done learning, or people have a fixed mindset, like they're stuck with their IQ. And if you believe that, hey, no, I can, I'm not stuck with this IQ, I can learn and become an expert in this, and this, and you work to do that and forge it, then you have a growth mindset, and that's exactly what you're getting at. And I think it was last week or the week before, I was reading a book where they talked about a developer mindset. So it's like the next step beyond just a growth mindset. It's like, no, I'm taking the growth mindset, but I'm going to deliberately design and create my future. And I really like that. That goes back to the attitude, because I think that's where I talked about it. But I think you're right? And so how can you take that developer mindset and then share and coach and enable the people you love and build? And this goes back to David Brooks. How can you build a moral ecology, a part of society that is as virtuous and living, loving, and growing, to a better state of existence? And that's the highest level of joy that David Brooks highlights in the book Second Mountain, is how can you enable that and be the catalyst for that type of positive change? I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you want to duplicate yourself. You want to create a great product out of yourself in life, and then you want to duplicate it. And I think all of us have that kind of innate desire. I just have to go back to when I wanted everything about me to change. I didn't even really realize it at the time, but I wanted the result of my life to be different than just the situation I was in.
Yeah.
And I knew that had to start with changing everything about the fabric of who I was at that time. I had to go to school. I had to learn trades. I had to build habits of, getting up at 5:30 in the morning, like I just told you. I had to give myself energy. I had the purpose to take a different attitude. You know, and
Yeah.
I had to. And when I decided to take a different attitude, I started drawing people into my life, even here in prison, that also were pursuing a different attitude. They were pursuing a different outlook. You know, they they weren't typical people that you would think would just be in this environment. They were high achievers, and they believed in themselves, and they believed that there was some sort of purpose that they were meant to accomplish on the other side of these fences. And
Yep.
that's how I've lived my life too. That there's great purpose behind this visit right now. There's great purpose behind these conversations we're having right now. And I believe that the best is yet to come. And because I think about my life that way, I get up with a new vigor.
Yep.
And so all of that led to me having better relationships in my life, which led to me having a better impact with my life. And that's what I want. That's what I want people listening to think about is what is the impact you feel that you've had so far? And how could you begin to walk that process backwards and begin to make certain critical changes? Because one thing I couldn't see in my life at the time, and this is going back years when I was lost in the drugs and violence and bad groups of people, is that even if I wanted to have a different effect, I had to change the people that were around me. I had to change my attitude. And so I just want to challenge people to take a look at their life and ask themselves, am I satisfied with the service I'm bringing, not only to the world, but to my loved ones, my family, my friends, my job, my employer? And if not, what are the things that need to begin to change now, today, that can eventually alter that service, that effect, that impact? That's the question I want to put out there for people.
Yep. Yeah, and it's a journey, right? Well, first off, you got to step back and reflect and be objective. And nobody's perfect. So everybody, if you want to have that learner's mindset, you could be a super successful CEO, but still, if you step back and be like, "Ooh, okay, I'm successful in business, but you know what? I've been neglecting my family, and so what does that mean about your service, right?" And everybody has, no matter where you are in life, whether you're in prison like you, Drew, and you're doing it with your colleagues there in prison, and you're enabling them to become better people, right? And now I'm a manager in Honeywell, so I'm trying to do that with the people that I work with and the people that I'm managing as a manager. And so I think that it doesn't matter where you are in your lot in life. There's always room for improvement. And are you taking that learning mindset and trying to raise the bar? That's our lot in life. Otherwise, you're bumbling through life as a wandering generality instead of being a meaningful specific. And I always love that quote from Zig Ziglar, but I think it's true.
Les Brown quotes that a lot too. So listen, we're under a minute left. Man, this has been really good. Next week, we're going to talk about the higher things behind SHEARS, which is love, joy, and fulfillment. And we're going to anchor these with some of these books that we've been reading, and we're going to start teaching people some of the key principles that we're taking out of these books, right?
Yeah, that sounds great. Okay. And all right, are you up for the challenge of 7 a.m. Little dial-ins? You want me to try to do Saturday morning instead of Sunday?
Come on, bring it on, man. Bring it on, man. Matter of fact, this isn't early enough. We need to get an earlier time slot. Because what is it, 9 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah. Hey, that's all right.
Oh, man. Hey, I love you, buddy.
I love you too, Drew. Hey, have a great day. Go Chiefs, go Seahawks. We'll see if they can win this week.
Yeah, all right. Sunday night football. Love you, bud.
Talk to you later.